lot of you know, we like to support and try to help these musicians make a living and stay alive and play their music for as many people as they possibly can. That's the key. That's the whole thing. David, I have a few questions that I'm going to ask you that I ask everyone.
Okay.
Our music fans are here tonight as well. And the first thing that I've never asked you, and I specifically waited for tonight to ask you this, where are you from?
I personally was born in Southern California, but then moved to Oklahoma when I was young, when I was in like second grade. And we originally moved to Oologah, but then where I'm from is Tahlequah, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Is where
you went to school and grew up in
Yeah,
Tahlequah?
where I mainly went to school and where I went to high school and graduated, and you know, where most of my friends and people are from. And the band really started in Wagner, just kind of as a series of jams. Just a lot of people jamming. We would get together every Monday and jam. But and then it's kind of taken on a life. And at some point, I think it was maybe like 2010 or something, we kind of all moved the band to Tulsa.
So you've been together about 7 years, right?
We've been, I guess, the band started basically 2009. December 2008 was our first show.
Okay.
So, however long that is, I guess I guess 6 years, going on 7.
Okay. And what is in your player in your car right now?
Right now, it's Brandon Jenkins. Actually, which is a CD I got from here, and
the new one that I just
and it's his latest one. And he's recording in the same studio that we just wrapped up recording in, Yellow Dog Studios in Austin. So I've been listening to his stuff and enjoying it.
Well, you got to play at South by Southwest this year. Was that your first time?
No, we played at South by Southwest last year also, but it was a whole lot of fun once again. And I will say, I think this year was it was even better than the year before. And it was.
Do you have to be invited to play?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously by someone, you know, on some sort. There's a lot of different things going on at South by Southwest, so there's a lot of different people inviting different groups and a lot of different venues booking their venues, you know. But we played at 2 different venues. We did 3 shows while we were down there, and it was convenient for us because we were recording, you know, and so we kind of made those 2 things really work together. But it was awesome to be in the studio. We would literally, you know, go into the studio at like 9 or 10 in the morning, be in the studio until 4 or 5, and then, you know, go eat something real quick and then go load into our show.
Sure.
You know, so it was cool to be kind of doing both. And
well,
there's,
you know, we listen to a lot of music from the Red Dirt, the Texas music scene. You know, the guys are great in that. But I've listened to your CDs, and you really kind of have your own sound. You really do. And that's something different. I mean, but here we are in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and what's Tulsa known for, you know? Really, the Tulsa sound.
Absolutely.
And it's because of
well, it's like a melting pot. I mean, I think Tulsa has been for a long time. From the old, like the 70s Tulsa sound, which was like, you know, J.J. Cale and Eric Clapton and, you know, Leon Russell and some of the awesome people that have come out of here. But it's been for a long time. I think it's because of our position, you know, like we're between the East Coast and the West Coast. We're between Chicago and that kind of blues scene and St. Louis and stuff and Austin, and then Nashville and Tennessee's right there. So we've always been a crossroads. So I think we've always gotten a mix. And our sound is definitely a mix of sounds. You know, people ask us all the time, what kind of music do you play? I've been asked that like 5 times tonight, and I always have trouble answering that because it's a little bit of rock, it's a little bit of southern rock, it's a little bit of blues, it's a little bit of country folk, you know, it's a little bit from
I totally
from each.
agree. And they ask me because, of course, we know you here
Right.
as a person and a coworker. But everybody that asked me, I'm like, well, really, he has his own sound, and you really do.
Well,
I'm not just saying that.
I think we like that. We don't. I would much rather have our own sound and not have a hard time being able to define it than just say, well, we only do this, because then it kind of makes you only able to do that.
What's your influence?
Musically, my influences. I have a ton of musical influences. Most of my influence just comes kind of from like observing the world around me. So all kinds of music, not just one kind of music, but I was raised on Bob Dylan, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Neil Young, Van Morrison, all of that kind of stuff. I definitely have a big 90s influence in the time where I was growing up, and bands like Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots and Pearl Jam and that whole kind of what was called the grunge scene. But then also a ton of our influence, I think is just from growing up around here. And part of the whole reason I started playing music was going to Roxy's Roost in Tahlequah and sneaking in when I was 17 so I could go watch Randy Crouch play, and thinking that just seems really cool. That's something I want to do,
How old were you when you started playing the guitar?
I was 11 or 12 when I started playing guitar. I started playing piano before that, but you can't take a piano to the river or to the beach. So the guitar is a much more convenient instrument.
Okay, these are similar questions, but they're different. The first song that you wrote.
I don't know it. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I was writing songs when I was 9 or 10 just in my head, on the school bus. And then, like I said, I played piano. I used to write a lot of songs on piano and stuff, but I honestly could not even tell you the first song that I wrote.
Okay, do you have a favorite song?
In general, all-time favorite song? No. I don't think I have a favorite, but Georgia by Ray Charles is one of my favorite songs of all time. I just love to hear it. I love to sing it. That's one of my favorite jukebox songs. The band has a song that we play almost every night at the end of the night, which is Jackson Browne's The Loadout, and it's about the roadies, and it's a gorgeous song, and it's about really kind of the being on the road side of things and all the people it takes to make shows happen.
And knowing the guys that we've met that are on the road that we try to help down the road, that is the hardest part.
Oh, it's really hard.
Being on the road all the time, your family.
We've traveled a whole lot, and so that's why that song resonates with us so much. Is it's talking about being away from your family, talking about just driving for miles and miles, and talking about tearing down at the end of the night, which a lot of people don't really realize, I don't think, when they're going to a show. They don't realize that there's crews loading semis, or even, on the small timers, there's, the roadies loading out the gear into the van or the...
to get to your gig, and then you got to be ready and energized to play.
Yeah, and that can be hard to do when you did it the past 7 nights,
Just like when the Zane came in, just drove in from Minnesota.
Yeah, that's a long drive.
Yeah.
Yes,
it is. What's the farthest that you've played?
The farthest? Well, in October we did basically a West Coast tour, and we kind of worked our way there. We started in Austin, then we went to Kansas City, and then we kind of crisscrossed to Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, and then we played up the West Coast. And the tour ended with Hard Rock Cafe in San Francisco. And I guess technically, geographically, that would be the farthest away I think we've ever played. And we drove straight back to Tulsa in 2 days straight from San Francisco. And that was a long trip.
Okay.
a guitar,
That's good.
a fishing pole, and maybe a harmonica. Maybe I could learn to play harmonica if I was stuck on an
I
island.
did forget one other question. Your dream venue.
My dream venue. I don't know. That one's a hard one. Like honestly, my favorite place to hear and almost my favorite place to play music is like a campfire. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say like Madison Square Garden or like the BOK Center or like a big arena or something. And that would be cool, of course, but I don't know. My favorite place to play music is around a campfire or by some large body of water, sitting on the beach or sitting by a lake.
Or maybe on a desert island with your guitar and your fishing
And my
pole.
harmonica and my fishing pole. I think that sounds pretty good, actually.
Let's have some fun tonight, man.
Let's do. Thank you, Cindy.